Hello everyone, my name is Kira Canada. I'm 15 years old and I'm a sophomore at Lincoln High School. Today I'm going to be talking to you about Dr. Ernest Everett Just. He was born August 14th, 1843 and he died August 27th, 1941. Dr. Just was a biologist and his primary legacy was he researched the role of the cell surface in the development of organisms. He co-founded Omega Psi fraternity. Dr. Just was born in South Carolina. At 16, he enrolled in Kimball Union Academy in New Hampshire. Dr. Ernest graduated magna cum laude from Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. Dr. Just began to teach at Howard in 1907 and co-founded the Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporation. He became known as the father of animal DNA. Dr. Just advocated the study of cells under normal conditions rather than breaking them apart in a laboratory. Dr. Just won the first NAACP Spingarn Medal in 1915. Later, he became head of the zoology department at Howard. Dr. Ernest wrote the groundbreaking book, The Biology of the Cell Surface. Now I'm going to read a few pages from this book about Dr. Just. Dr. Just was a remarkable marine biologist. He was born on August 14, 1883 in Charleston, South Carolina. His parents, Charles and Mary, had two younger children, Hunter and Inez. One day in August 1886, when Ernest was 3, there was a terrible earthquake. The earthquake shook Ernest out of bed. Everything crashed around him. Many people in the town were killed. But the Just family survived. In a strange way, the earthquake would help to shape Ernest's life. Because the quake damaged the Just's home, they had to move. Mary Just and a group of other black families bought some land on St. James Island in South Carolina. A town was built on that land. It was called Maryville, after Ernest's mother. Maryville is where Ernest first showed an interest in science. Ernest would grow up to become a well-known scientist of marine biology. Ernest took long walks through the woods in Maryville. He stared at the flowers and the animals. He was very curious about how all life began. One day, I'll learn more about these things, thought Ernest, and he did. He attended schools for black children, but Southern black schools were not as good as the schools for white children. Mary just wanted Ernest to have the best education, and the best schools were up north. One day, Ernest heard about Kimball Academy, a high school in Meridian, New Hampshire. His mother sent a letter to the school applying for a scholarship for Ernest. They waited for an answer, then Ernest decided to go and visit the school instead. At 17 years of age, Ernest sailed off on a ship to New York. He worked on the ship to pay his fare. When I reached New York, I had a $5 bill and 2 pairs of shoes, Ernest later said. When Ernest finally arrived at Kimball Academy, he found out that he had won the scholarship. Young Ernest was so smart, and he finished school in 3 years instead of 4. He graduated in 1903, the top student in his class. He won a scholarship to Dartmouth College in Hanover, New Hampshire. At Dartmouth College, Ernest took every biology class offered. He was most excited to learn about marine animals that live in the sea. He was an excellent student. Ernest graduated from Dartmouth with honors in 1907. After graduation, Ernest looked for a job as a research biologist. But those jobs weren't being offered to black scientists. Some whites didn't believe blacks were as good in science. So Ernest took a teaching job at Howard University, an all-black college in Washington, D.C. Though he enjoyed teaching, Ernest missed learning about sea animals. He had the chance to do both. In 1909, he began studying at the Marine Biological Laboratory in Woods Hole, Massachusetts. Scientists did research on sea animals there. Ernest taught at Howard in the winter and studied at Wood Holes in the summer. He was 26 years old. The young scientist did important work at Woods Hole. He studied the egg cells of sea animals. He learned how the eggs fertilized or developed into living creatures. He discovered which parts of a cell made a creature look the way it did. Other scientists were impressed with Ernest's work. His research appeared in science textbooks and magazines. Soon Ernest had something different to celebrate. On June 26, 1912, he married Ethel Highwarden, a teacher. They had 3 children, Margaret, Highwarden, and Maribel. On February 12, 1915, Ernest Just was honored by the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, also known as the NAACP. This is the organization that fights for the equal rights of minorities. For his work in biology, the NAACP awarded Ernest the Spigern Medal, a new award for outstanding achievements by Black Americans. Ernest was the first to receive the Spigern. Newspapers carried the big story. The award-winning scientist kept working and studying. He attended the University of Chicago in Illinois. When he graduated on June 16, 1916, he was a doctor of zoology, the study of animal life. After a while, Dr. Just became known as the expert on the early life of sea animals. Dr. Just once challenged the work of a well-known scientist, Dr. Jacques Loeb. Dr. Loeb said he could create new sea animals by adding a chemical to unfertilized eggs in extremely salty seawater. But Dr. Just said he could create new sea animals by simply adding the seawater. Dr. Just added the seawater to the unfertilized eggs. Eventually, he looked through his microscope and saw new sea animals swimming around. Even though Dr. Just had achieved a great deal, prejudice prevented him from getting important jobs in the United States. So by the late 1930s, Dr. Just lived mostly in Europe, studying and working in different laboratories. Scientists there respected his hard work, and they didn't treat him badly because he was black. Dr. Ernest Just died from cancer on October 27, 1941, in Washington, D.C. He was 58. He wrote over 60 papers and 2 books about his great work. And that is the end. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Rose Robinson, and I'm with you today to talk about wildlife and their habitat. Let me fill you in a little bit about myself first. I am recently retired from the federal government. I've been a fish biologist and a planner for the Forest Service and the Fish and Wildlife Service. So I've spent 30 years working with natural resources and wildlife, and obviously it's a passion of mine. And I hope that maybe by some exposure and experiences, it can become a passion for you too. So let's get started with wildlife and habitat. And first off, let's talk about what is habitat. Well, you know, habitat applies to both humans and wildlife because we live in our habitat. And what is our habitat? Our homes. So what are the things that we need in our homes? Well, we need food, we need water, and we need cover. And wildlife need the same thing. They go about it in a different way than we do, but we're all searching for the same 3 things: food, cover, and water. So let's think about some different animals and what type of habitat they would require. Now you think about a polar bear. Polar bear is white, all white, and has very thick hair. Well, now you can't picture him in the desert. Be too hot for him and he wouldn't blend in. So you think of polar bear and you think of the Antarctic or the Arctic where there's ice and snow, because think about it, he would blend in, he would be warm with his thick heavy coat, and the type of food that a polar bear eats, he could easily find seals and rabbits and other species that he would use for food. He can easily find that in his habitat. And of course there would be an abundance of water. Now, so you can picture a polar bear up in the Arctic But now let's shift gears and think about what kind of animals would be in the desert. Now the desert, again, they're going to be looking for food, water, and cover. So they've got to utilize that type of habitat to find those three things. So they adapt to the habitat. Over millions of years, they have adapted to the different environments that they live in. So take for example, a rabbit that lives in the desert. Well, you probably never noticed this, but a rabbit in the desert has bigger ears than rabbits in the woodlands. Why? Because that helps them cool off. It helps them deal with the heat of the desert by having big ears. And they have thinner hair than the rabbits that do in the woodlands, because they've got to cope with the high temperatures. And they have a better system of holding in water. They will drink, but they can retain their water longer so that they can live in that environment, that harsh environment of the desert. So we learned that different animals adapt to different habitats and adjust to those habitats to fulfill their needs for cover, food, and water. Well, now you think of birds. Birds fly, and so birds can cover a lot of different territory. So they can expand, you've heard of some birds fly south for the winter. And they do so because they can't handle the habitat in the northern areas, because it gets cold in the wintertime, it gets snow, and a lot of the species that they call them migrants, because they migrate to the south for the summer, but they make that move and they fly south so that they can have warmer temperatures. So they don't adapt to their climate as much, but they adapt by making that flight every year, twice a year, going down to the south and then coming back up from the south in the spring, so that they can be in a habitat that works well for them and their body temperatures. So let's think about some other animals. For example, let's think about a giraffe. Giraffe has a really long neck. And you wonder, well, why does a giraffe have such a long neck? Well, giraffes like the leaves of trees. And the way they're built, they have the long neck so that they can reach their food source, which is the leaves on the trees. So that's just another adaptation of a wildlife species, so that they can live in their habitat and find their food. Let's think about ourselves. When you think of your home, you know that you go to the kitchen, you can turn on the faucet and get water. You can go in the bedroom and sleep. You can go in your refrigerator and get food. And all of this is in a very comfortable climate. Either you have the air conditioner on to keep you cool in the summertime, or the heat on in the winter to keep you warm in the wintertime. But now think of if you had to travel 50 miles to get water. Think if you had to travel 200 miles to get food. Home wouldn't be that, well, it would be more complicated, and it wouldn't be as easy to live in, because you would have to make those additional trips, and that would cost money, because it would run up gas and your car, the maintenance on your car. So you could do it, but it wouldn't be as comfortable. Now, some people do live like that, and they live somewhere where they have to go to the grocery store, and the grocery store might be 50 miles from where they live, because they live way out in the country. Now, usually they'll have water still at their house, but just think if they didn't. Think about Southern California. Southern California has a lot of people, but you know what? Southern California is more desert. So you think, well, deserts don't have a lot of water, so how does Southern California have so many people? Well, and that's because we can adapt and build things. So we built an aqueduct system that carries water from the mountains in Northern California and other states and brings it down to Southern California so that they have additional water in Southern California to support the number of people that live in Southern California. So we're a unique species that we can build things to help us adapt to different habitats. So just, wanted you to think about that, and if you can, think about how you can adapt to different situations, to different habitats. When you go to bed at night and you're still a little chilly, what do? You go get another blanket, and that helps you adapt. Or maybe even though you have the air conditioning on, maybe it's still a little warm in your room, so you go and get a fan and turn the fan on to make your room a little cooler. So that's how we do small adaptations to make our environment more comfortable for ourselves. So maybe one of the things that you can do is think about different wildlife species and write down how they adapt to different environments. And you can look at a book on wildlife and look at how some of the animals live in the rainforest versus living in the desert, versus living in the Arctic, versus living in the savannas, in the grassland areas, and how all the different species adapt. And then you can look at forests. Some, like red-cockaded woodpeckers, they live in pine trees, and they live in a particular type of pine tree. And so when we start losing pine trees, they start losing their habitat and their environment, and that's how a lot of species end up becoming endangered. The red-cockaded woodpecker is an endangered species, and it is because of its loss of habitat. And so agencies and organizations that are concerned about endangered species have went in and planted more pine trees so that they have more habitat and they can expand their population. So it's very interesting when you start looking at the different species and how they adapt to different habitats, and then you can find out there's kind of two different types of strategies that wildlife use. There's a generalist strategy and there's a specialist strategy. Well, the species that are more generalists are usually can live in more habitats. They easily adapt to their habitats, whereas the specialists, they specialize on certain small things in their habitat. Like the red-cockaded woodpecker, they specialize on certain pine species rather than any tree or even any pine tree. And so they have specialized with a particular pine tree species. So when we start cutting down that particular type of species, it makes it very difficult for the red-cockaded woodpecker to survive because they've lost their habitat. So that's something to think about when you're looking at different wildlife species, and maybe start reading about how their habitat requirements, and you can figure out, is this more of a generalist species or is this more a specialist species? And what we can do to help some of those specialist species. Anyway, that's all for today on habitats. I hope you learned a little bit about habitats. And hopefully next time that we get to talk, we can talk about adaptations and camouflage. And that's kind of interesting. Anyway, take care and have a great day and stay safe. Bye-bye.
Go ahead now. Let's see what animals go. I want them to be like this. And you can get up on your chair. and then you can reach them over. What animals go where? So penguin. Peyton, where do you think the penguins go?
I wasn't.
Oh, let's see. Yep, it doesn't fall, so it goes there. Good job. Kennedy, you want to do an animal? All right, what animal do you have?
Dolphin.
The dolphin. Okay, where should the dolphin go?
Right here.
Good job.
In the ocean. Great, great. Okay. Peyton, do you have an animal? What animal is that?
A dragon. A fox.
Oh, fox. Great. Whoa, oh, let's see you do that fox again. Good.
Is that a fox?
Fox do that too. Where does the fox go?
I saw our tails to here.
There you go. Good
That
job.
one. Does it fall?
No, so that's the right habitat.
Does it fall? Let me see if it falls.
Maybe that's the right one too. Okay. Kennedy?
What?
Which one do you have?
I'm a dolphin.
Dolphin? Do you have any new animals?
Okay. Let me see.
Oh, is that a starfish?
Yeah, put him in the water.
Wow, that one's cool. Yeah, put them in the water. Where should it go? In the top of the ocean or in the bottom? In the bottom. Okay, good. Peyton, do you have any more animals?
Yeah. A dolphin.
What's that? Oh, that's a very big animal. That is a whale.
Oh.
Yes.
It's not a whale.
That's the biggest animal.
In the world?
Yeah. That's cool. All
No,
right.
it's the shark is, right?
No, whales are even bigger.
Oh.
Yes. All right, where should the whale go?
Well, I can tell because it doesn't have coolness. What?
You can do yours too.
No, I can tell because it doesn't have coolness around here, so it goes in here.
Wow, great idea. That's a great idea. What about you, Kennedy?
I'm a hot doggy.
Okay, go ahead. All right, you guys can just go ahead and try and put your animals in the right ones. Go ahead.
They swim in the water.
Yes.
Can we put them everywhere, Nick?
But the best thing to learn is if they're in the right habitat, because only dolphins can be in water, right?
Yeah.
Because if they're in the desert, that wouldn't be very good. Right? So we're learning where they should go because that's where their home is.
So these all go here and this goes here, right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Let me see. The moose. Where do the moose go? Mommy, do you think they go in the grassland?
What are those? Can I have a pickle?
I think they go in that one over there. Try the grassland. Try that one.
Okay.
Okay, good.
No, it's not. No, it's good. Let's go in the water.
Good.
Can I have more?
Yeah. Mommy, do you want to get a new one? All right, put those ones back.
Okay.
Where did the paper go? And then we can get a new, oh, here it is.
Oh, can I pick mine though? Oh yeah, I actually want that one.
Good job.
This, I want it.
All right, here.
Oh, it goes in here. This is my turn
Here, I
yet.
can just hold it, and then you get a new one.
No. Yeah, I don't want to look at those. No. This one? No. This one? No. This one? This.
All right.
I want to see mine. I like these.
Oh, let me show. Kitty, show me your ocean. Can you hold it up? Now hold the ocean up. Show the camera.
Like this.
Hold
it
the
up like that.
hold the whole thing, and smile. Let me see your smile. And say, "I made an ocean."
I mean an ocean.
Good job. Let me see again. Let me see your smile. I gotta see you. Yeah, I need to see you too. There, you got a great ocean. Good job. All right, Miss Payton, can you hold up what you made?
I'll just read them.
Well, hold up just one and then show me the other one. You can do one at a time. First, you know what that one is called?
The desert.
That's right. Good job. High five. All right, what's the next one that you made?
Wow!
Do you know what that one's called?
You see this? Pool?
Polar.
I was gonna say that.
You did good. Let me see it. Show the camera.
Is it my turn yet?
Now,
A zebra?
can you say,
Four?
I made a polar?
I made a pool.
Okay, Kitty, what else can you make? Which other ones do you want to make? What's that animal?
A crab.
It's a crab. Or is it maybe a lobster?
No, it's a crab.
Oh, no, a crab got me. Yeah, good job. All right, we have to learn what other one goes into the rainforest. Does anybody know? Hey, don't throw them. Let's be good. All right. Do you want to try new animals?
Yeah,
What's this
new
one?
animals.
You want to try
My
that one?
animal part.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Hold up those animals and show me.
Uh-oh.
Can you show me which animals you have? Point at them and tell me which ones they are. You know any of them? Just tell me the ones that you do know, and then we can learn the rest of them.
I don't know. Well, I think is this one what is it called?
That looks like a lobster.
Lobster, but you said that was red.
Yeah, I think that's a different type of lobster.
Is it
Let's
my
see.
turn?
Oh, that is a crayfish.
I thought it was a scorpion.
It kind of looks like it, doesn't it? What about that one? Do you know that one?
Frog.
You know that one.
A duck.
You know that one.
turtle.
Which one's the duck?
This one and this is a turtle.
Oh, see, you know, like how many animals do you know?
It's my turn yet.
Can you count them?
Yeah, my brain.
Let's see. Count them out loud so you can show people how good of a counter you are.
2, 3, 4.
Great.
No, there's 3, right? 1, 2, 3,
Yep.
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
So you know 4 animals?
1, 2, 3,
How many fingers are 4?
4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2.
Good job. All right. Kenny, which one do you have? What animals do you have now? Oh, seahorse and a jellyfish.
Everest Papa.
Good job.
Okay.
Can you guys give each other a high five?
No.
Hey, give your sister a high five for you guys doing a good job. Give a good high one. Try again. We can do a better 5 than that. Yeah.
Oh, wait, hold on. One time.
One more 5.
So, Kitty, when we do this, we're going to say good partner, okay? Ready? Go. Good partner.
Good partners. Yeah, you guys
You
did
can do
great.
it, Kitty. Oh.
You did great, Kennedy. And Peyton, you're doing great too. Yay.
It goes in
Yay.
here. Yay!